The chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Clyde, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to emphasize my concern about President Biden's U.S. Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, commonly known as KBJ, and to express my deep disappointment for any senator that votes for her confirmation this week. While I do not have a vote on KBJ's confirmation, I do have a voice, and I will continue using my voice to tell the American people the truth. The truth is that Ketanji Brown Jackson is incapable of holding criminals accountable. Throughout her career, Judge Jackson's sentences have been drastically lower than the national average, even for individuals who have committed the most egregious crimes imaginable. When analyzing all criminal cases sentencing imposed by U.S. district courts, Judge Jackson issued significantly lighter sentences, almost 34% less than the national average. Specifically, the statistics reveal a more sinister pattern when broken down to child pornography and child sex torture cases. When sentencing criminals for possession of child pornography, KBJ imposed sentences 57% less than the national average. Additionally, she issued sentences 47% less than the national average for those convicted of distributing these atrocious images of child sex torture. Disturbingly, child sex torture, one of the most heinous crimes of all, is met with compassion and concession from Judge Jackson. In fact, here are some quotes from KBJ in the U.S. versus Hawkins case involving Mr. Hawkins, an 18-year-old adult man charged with downloading many images and videos of innocent children being tortured by sex offenders. During this case, KBJ said, and I quote, "I feel so sorry for you." And in reference to Mr. Hawkins himself and for the anguish that this has caused all of you, she feels sorry for the perpetrator. Excuse me, what about the victims and the anguish that this torture has caused them? In addition, KBJ stated, and I quote, "This seems to be a situation in which you were fascinated by sexual images involving what were essentially your peers." Peers? Really? The vile content Mr. Hawkins possessed depicted boys as young as 8 years old. Mr. Hawkins was 18 at the time, over twice their age. Keep in mind the sentencing guidelines called for up to 10 years in prison for Mr. Hawkins, yet Ketanji Brown Jackson sentenced this predator to just 3 months in jail. 3 months. Madam Speaker, we are not talking about someone who disobeyed traffic laws. This is a man convicted of possessing multiple images of child sex torture. This is sickening and wrong, plain and simple. But it's not just Judge Jackson's record that is worthy of outrage. Revelations from her recent testimony speak volumes to KBJ's interest in legislating from the bench. When asked to provide the definition for the word woman, KBJ absurdly said she could not, adding that she isn't a biologist. Can you think of a more illogical excuse? The word woman is a term I'm sure that most third graders can accurately describe with ease. By failing to define a woman, Judge Jackson has shown her true narrative to the American people, exposing her loyalty to the woke left. It's no secret that radical activists are waging a bizarre and dangerous war on women. From women's sports to large corporations, liberals are attempting to erase women while claiming to fight for women's rights. So by refusing to define a woman, Judge Jackson has revealed that she both accepts and supports the left's treacherous agenda. Furthermore, KBJ's inability to accept and acknowledge the differences between men and women raises serious doubt and questions about her ability to decide judicial outcomes regarding sex, such as Title IX cases. Bottom line, Ketanji Brown Jackson's resistance to the realities that exist between men and women is deeply unsettling and proves that she will adjudicate with an agenda, an immoral agenda that is blatantly wrong for our country. In addition to another disheartening display of her disqualifications, KBJ also refused to recognize America's natural rights. From the founding of our great country, both our citizenry and our government have acknowledged that we are provided unalienable rights by our Creator. It is unconscionable that a nominee to our nation's highest court would reject this foundational principle, and it is alarming that senators will still ignore KBJ's appalling testimony and vote for her to serve our judicial system for life. Mark my words, Ketanji Brown Jackson's refusal to acknowledge Americans' natural rights that come from God is a Trojan horse for tyranny, representing yet another glaring example of why she is unfit for the Supreme Court. We know she is soft on crime. We know she is a vessel for the woke left's dangerous ideology, and we know she cannot definitively defend Americans' God-given rights or precious freedoms. Yet despite KBJ's frightening record and recent testimony, the Senate intends to vote on her confirmation to the Supreme Court this week. If KBJ becomes a Supreme Court justice, she will serve for decades, solidifying and strengthening the left's menacing grip on our rule of law. Her decisions will impact future Americans for generations to come, setting precedent that will ultimately guide our nation once you and I are long gone. Without question, Americans from Maine, Utah to Alaska, from sea to shining sea, are watching intently, praying that
Gentleman is no longer recognized. Chair now recognizes the gentlewoman